and the Methodist Church, who has reached out and want to collaborate with us to make sure that we get our people vaccinated. And when I say our people, now I'm specifically talking about the African American community, the Black and Brown community. Those are the people that we see that we're losing more than any others, because I'm just going to tell you point blank, straight up and straight out, Caucasian people, more of them are getting in line and getting the vaccinations. And then we'll talk a little bit about the fact that nothing is 100%. And I can tell you, if any of you out there take hypertensive medication, you take diabetes medication, metformin, any of those things, none of those things are 100%. That's why you have to keep after it, keep after it, keep after it. You keep taking that high blood pressure medication in hopes that it will bring your blood pressure down and keep it down. And I'm sure you know that sometimes when you are on those medications, you may have a spike and that blood pressure may run high today. And the doctor may say, well, I need you to double up on that hypertensive medication so that you can help to bring that blood pressure back down. So everybody know the only thing that's 100% perfect is, tell me who that is and what that is, Minister Major.
That's Christ Jesus.
Okay, so otherwise we're human beings, fallible. We cannot get anything 100%. We may get close, but nothing is 100%. And remember that when people are asking you about helping to protect this community so that we won't get back into where we think we're headed back to, and that's a lockdown. Second thing we want to talk about, the other thing that we want to talk about is the moral resurrection that's going on down in Austin, Texas. And we know that Dr. William Barber is here in Texas with us now, and they started on yesterday with the walk, ride. But on Saturday is going to be the big rally down in Austin. It's going to be a 50-mile walk from Georgetown down to Austin, Texas. And so we're planning to head down that way and be involved in anybody out there. We actually wanted to do a bus. The buses are so pricey. $1,900, $2,000. So we didn't feel like that we probably would get enough people to be able to get on that bus and go. So those cars that can go, because they want a 150 car ride from Georgetown down into Austin on Saturday. So we're probably going to head out there early Saturday morning and see what we can do and be a part to show that East Texas wants the same thing, and that's all across Texas. We want to make sure that our voting, that we're not suppressed in our vote. And so we're going to talk about voter registration. It's really important. We want to make sure that everybody gets registered to vote. We're talk about voter suppression, because Trump now has put the message out there to his people in the Republican Party to actually help to get him in office. And he still thinks that he won this election and still wants to get in office. And then our final thing, we're going to talk a little bit about the Piney Woods boarding school. We know we have a lot of students, Minister Major and Miss Rihanna, students that are in the CPS system, that's probably in the foster care system, that could really benefit from Piney Woods boarding school. That's the only Black-owned boarding school in this country, and they're giving away scholarships to help our young Black students that may be troubled, may not have a home, may just need that little boost, that guidance, that love, and some education to get them through high school. Okay, so we ready? All right, let's begin. Let's start on a happy subject. Let's start with these boarding school kids. Minister Major, I don't know if you're familiar with the Piney Woods boarding school or not.
I'm not.
You okay? Miss Rihanna, you can just give us a little layout of the boarding school. We've had them actually on this show. We've had them on our Monday night show. So I'll allow Miss Rihanna, if she would please, to just give just a little layout to the people that don't quite remember and those that don't know anything about the Piney Woods boarding school. And I love their name because we're in the Piney Woods of East Texas, right?
That's what they call it.
That's what they call it. So go ahead, Miss Rihanna, and give us a little layout of the school, because we're going to bring them to East Texas. Go.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Right.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. Right. Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Brianna, for that. And it's they have scholarships and all of that for students to be able to go. They're in Mississippi, about 20 miles south of Jackson, Mississippi. And as Ms. Brianna mentioned, it's not quote unquote for troubled students. However, what I say is that sometimes these troubled students just need that guidance, just need that
Just need a
love.
little love.
That's all they
That's
need. And we can help to keep these young students out of prison from behind the bars, that concrete jungle that Mr. Major always talked about. We don't want our kids to go there. We don't want any kids to go there. So if we can help to keep them out by showing them that love and that education that they can get, I mean, and their graduations that they have down there are just amazing. It's just a big salute. So we're going to be bringing Dr. Crosley. Dr. Crosley is the president of that school. He's an attorney. He's a civil rights attorney, and he's worked out there in the real world for a long, long time. And he says, I'm going to give back to that school. And do you know why he's giving back to that school and why he became the president of that school?
He's one of them.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And he
That's
was
the way
not
it
a
usually
trouble.
work.
And that's exactly correct. And let me tell you just a quick story about him. Not that he was a troubled child at all. Both his parents died at a very young age. He was in the 8th grade. And so he was at church one week because he was living, was it with his grandmother or was his aunt, Miss Rihanna? I can't remember exactly which. His grandmother. Okay, so they were at church, and these people came to his church, and that's how he got into the school. Because that's right, it was his grandmother. Why was it the grandmother was too old to try to continue to take care of this young fella, right? And so he went to the school, graduated, went on to college, went on to law school, all of that. Worked in Washington D.C. out there in civil rights, and decided I'm going to come back and give back to the school.
Man, God is always right on time.
Right on time. So we're bringing them to Tyler.
Okay.
And then Pastor Cliff Wright, who actually, his family hails from Tyler, his grandmother, all that property right where the Hispanics are building that property there on Powell Street, you know, June Rose Jeffrey and all that family, that's his family.
Okay.
So he is the recruiter for this school, and so we're going to bring him in. We're going to bring in CPS and ask him to come to this meeting, and so that they can talk about their school and lay it out to the community.
I think that'll be great.
Okay, well, we need everybody working on it to make sure that
I'd
happens.
like to definitely meet with them as well. I
There
wish
you
they
go,
was
'cause
around here in the Piney Woods. We could invite them out to our back to school summer bash.
Well, they're coming. We're looking at a date, and I can't remember when your bash is. I know it's
On
in
August the
August.
7th.
Oh, yours is August the 7th. And see, I got weddings, and I got niece getting married on that day, and that's a lot going. But there's always a lot going on,
It
and that's a
is,
good
it
thing.
is.
We have a thriving, a smart city here in Tyler, Texas. And speaking of that, yesterday was council. I just want to throw this in, just for knowledge. We had a vote on yesterday to immediately start allowing people to put solar panels
I
on.
was
Because
there.
there was were you there?
In the back, I
missed you.
seen you up there in the
Oh,
green.
did you see? You were there.
Yeah.
You were there. So, as you know, the state voted that starting September 1 that it would have happened, but the city went ahead and voted that it happened immediately because it should have already. I didn't realize until a few months ago that was an ordinance here in this city.
I
That
think
it's
the
going to
only
be a
reason
statewide. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
No.
I think the only reason they did that is because it's a law going into effect on September 1st regarding
Exactly,
that, right?
exactly, and so there's no need to even wait around, and that's why we went ahead and voted yesterday to happen immediately because of the law, the Texas law. Okay, so that's it on the Piney Woods. I almost said East Texas, the Piney Woods of Mississippi. Yeah.
I think you got woods everywhere in the
Oh,
south.
there
huh?
you go, there you go, there you go. So then let's talk a little bit then now about what's going on in Austin, Texas, and how we'd love to have more people in East Texas to be involved, to be down there, to show that we're not going to sit back and allow voter suppression to happen in Texas. Any comments? We'll start with you, Minister Major. Any comments from you on it?
Well, I blame you for that.
Okay.
I'm just excited to always go to Austin. Dr. McKellar, we went down there in 2019, and it always had been a dream of mine to go up to the Capitol. But when we went down there, man, I was exposed to so much, and I actually love it, and I'm miserable when I can't get down there when they're having events going on. But we just welcome people to come out and support whatever party you're with. Right now, we need to get some people to Austin. The Democrats, I believe, they're still in Austin. I mean, not in Austin, but in Washington D.C.
Correct.
Excuse me.
The representatives. Yes.
But we need some people, foot soldiers, to come up to that Capitol to stand for those people that are battling for their constituents right now. Because they have this thing in place where every 25 years you have to go back and revisit the voting rights. And that's a right, so you shouldn't have to go back and revisit that. That's just like the Constitution. It stands the way it is, and it stands forever. And if we continue to sit back, lollygagging and slow bucking, we'll be on a one-world dictator before too long. So people, you need to wake up and be conscious about what's really going on around you, and try to get to Austin to show your support.
Very good, outstanding. And you used a key word there, and you said dictatorship. And that's exactly where this would head us back to if we don't stand up and speak up and do something about it. Register somebody in your family. There's somebody in every one of our families probably that need to be registered.
Everybody need to be registered. You got to have an ID. I mean, you have to have an ID. I got Dr. McKellar next to me.
You gotta have a voice.
yeah.
Utilize your voice. Don't let anybody take your voice away from you.
But that's right. That's right. People, come on out. Support whatever it is that you support. Our trip to Austin is not that long. You know, maybe 3 hours one way. You get up there and enjoy yourself. 3 hours back, and that's like an 8-hour work day, or
That's
maybe
just
10
like a
hours.
work day.
And
We
then
have a great time, don't we? We
man,
stop
awesome.
for eat and
I told
we...
you exposed me to something.
That's outstanding. That's very good. Ms. Rihanna, any comments from you?
Well, I just want to, I know that people have the general
Very good. And so, Ms. Rihanna, let's give people, just in case, I'm sure most people know what the filibuster is, but just in case, we want to make sure that people understand and know exactly what that is. If you guys will remember when the what is her name? Wendy Davis. When Wendy Davis stood on the streets of on the inside of the Capitol in Austin, and she was fighting for women's rights, women be able to decide what it is that they want to do with their own bodies, and we only have one, and we can only decide what we're going to do with ours. Well, she stood for how many hours, and she had on her pink tennis shoes. She was the senator at that time, Mr. Major, 18 hours or so long, remember? Okay. And she stood there, and all it is just prolonged talking and talking and talking. And we also remember when, what's that other fellow's name, that other senator that's down there now, you know who I'm talking about. He took off and went across country. Ted Cruz, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, so he was reading this stuff. Yeah, that's green eggs and hams. He was sitting there reading to his children about green eggs and ham on the Senate floor. And so it's just using up time is all it's doing. Prolong is so that nobody can vote. Nobody gets an opportunity to vote. So that's what the filibuster is all about.
You know, they've been doing that for 400 some years.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, it is. Truth be told. That's right. Mm-hmm. Right. That's right. It is tricks. Mm-hmm. Outstanding. Yes. Very good. Outstanding. Like Mr. Major says, it's how many years?
Oh, 400 some years. See, the problem with the problem with that is not knowing, being uneducated, right, and lazy, and people take advantage of people that don't know. That's and true. Lazy people, right?
That's right.
That's why they have these different things that's in I call the workday system, because people have to go to work usually 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. They out there in that system. Okay. Not too many people have 9 to 5s. People be up before daybreak, and they be tired, right?
Sure.
And they don't want to get involved, but you have to get involved. You do what you want to do, right? And we as people, we got to stop letting people take advantage of us. And I'm not talking about just black people. I'm talking about all people. Right. That's less fortunate.
That's it.
Right. When you don't want to go no more, you got some more in you. Right. So once again, people take advantage of people that don't know and lazy people. So people wake up and get involved.
Very good, Minister Major. Great message. Because what I say all the time is just when you get tired, stop, take your break, but get up and let's get going again.
Get up.
That's right.
Wear them boots out.
Right, there you go. Buy you another pair, right?
Buy you another pair. Okay. And if you're good at what you're doing, somebody will buy you a pair.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're gonna keep you marching.
Because if you take care of the community will take care of you.
And that's where my heart is. I want to take care of the community.
There you go.
All of us.
We got to give back. We got to give back to the community. Let me, speak of community, let's talk a little bit about Mr. Clarence Shackelford and the Texas Empowerment Group and the Texas African American Museum and how they're honoring. If anybody is free on tomorrow, come out there to the Texas African American Museum there on Martin Luther King. You know where it is, right there at North Broadway and MLK. They're honoring probably about 80 some people, the Buffalo Soldiers, and
That's
all the
awesome.
great warriors. And so my group will be there at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's the East Texas Veteran Warriors Association, and all the veterans and the law enforcement. That's their day tomorrow. They've been honoring people along the way. Today, they honored Mr. Joe Williams, who has been in the insurance industry, Farmers Insurance, being honored today.
Hey man,
And
Joe, awesome guy.
Oh, he's an awesome guy.
One of my church
So
members.
that's exactly right. So so this is his day, and so come on out and show the people how you appreciate the work that they've done, the community servants in this community. They're even honoring some posthumously. I think it's Andrew Mellontree and a couple others that's going to be maybe Thurley Washington, I'm not sure,
Okay.
but some that have gone on that did great work while they were here. And so we're living and standing on the shoulders of many of those people. So we want to make sure that.
Well, those three names right there, Joe Williams, Andrew Millentry, and what you said, Thurley, right?
Thurley Washington.
Oh, they iconic around here.
Yes, they are.
Educated, very smart men, and men to be looked up to in our community.
Absolutely, very good. And then all of our law enforcement people, we have a great organization of black law enforcement people, and I think they have an event coming up this Saturday. Even though we will be in Austin, won't be able to attend, and retired veteran LaRonda Hamilton is the president of that organization here locally, and so they're having an event down at the courthouse as well. So there's always some great events going on. They work to try to make sure that our people our young folks stay out of the system and all that. So they have their events. So things are always going on. So let's get more involved and go as many places as we can. Sometimes we hit 3-4 shots per day. Minister Major,
more.
yeah, more. That's right. We just go from place to place to show people that we appreciate and we enjoy supporting them and all the great work that they're doing, the nonprofit organizations in our community. And then this coming Monday, I'm going to put this out there too, for all of you that want to be involved in this history. And as you know, we're taking down Harvey Convention Center. Harvey Convention Center, built way back in the 70s, early 70s, by the Harvey family, and that's why it's called Harvey Convention. And then it was turned over when the Harveys died out, and it was turned over to the city. So now the city owns it, but it's coming down, and we're putting almost $30 million into, I think it's 28 something, in building a new convention center. It's going to be an amazing. So the demolition is going to take place Monday at 11 o'clock.
Well, they're already doing a lot of work out
Well,
there because I was over in the area the other day and they had the roads blocked off.
But the parking lot is already, they've already dug up the parking lot, but I'm talking about the building itself. Yeah, it's going to come down. And then once it comes down, then they'll be ready. See, they're doing all that excavation so that they'll be ready to rock and roll once that building comes down and they haul away all of that stuff.
Let's do it. We
Let's
got to
do it.
beautify
Come
our
out
city.
there. Yeah.
But we want to beautify for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Everybody.
Right. Yeah, everybody. So I'll have my hammer out there.
Yeah.
I'll be a sledgehammer, be able to knock down the building.
What's up?
Well, all of us get to hit one time.
One
At
time,
least.
man.
I mean, hit it hard and easy, I tell you. So, okay, so that's what's going on in our community. Now let's end it with the Delta variant, and we want to first give kudos to Dr. Richard Hagney for the work that he is doing. He's working in conjunction with, of course, he started our task force, the Northeast Texas Task Force. Specifically, everybody knows about his octopus copyright that he is doing, and in other words, and what he wants to make sure happens is that we don't